March 12th Academy Awards are just around the corner. I will briefly focus on a few topics regarding the Best Actress Oscar nominees for 2023. I will mention a bit about their biography and notable work, performances, a short review of their performance and the film, who I think should win the Oscar for Best Actress this year, and some comments and statistics on diversity and representation for this year's Oscars. Please note that this is my personal opinion on the movies and performances, so comment who you think should win the Best Actress Oscar this year and your favorite film. Written, directed and produced by Todd Field, Tar is a psychological drama about cancel culture, haunts of past sins and the abuse of power. Cate Blanchett stars as the central leading character, Lydia Tar, alongside actors Mark Strong, Nina Hoss and Naomi McLean. This film has received countless accolades since its premiere at the Venice International Film Festival, with the most recognition awarded to Cate's performance. Tar follows the world-renowned conductor, composer, instructor, writer and mentor Lydia Tar, an American living and working in Berlin. We watch the downfall of this accomplished yet cold and icy character whose past comes to haunt her and lead to her downfall. As a public figure, a celebrity in the music world, more specifically classical orchestral music, Lydia Tar faces the threat of exile from her job and social sphere due to allegations of sexual misconduct, abuse and unprofessional behavior with a past student who had recently committed suicide. Close people question Lydia's truth, including her wife. Associates turn on her and police investigate her past, causing the usually stoic and indestructible Lydia to crumble emotionally. The story of Lydia Tar exemplifies that even those punished for bad and immoral acts can still be given another chance to do what they love, which means that they can get away with being wrong. The story of Tar is an example that cancel culture isn't real. In the real world, and we can see this today with real-life people, a public figure can easily find their way back to notoriety and even become even more successful after these immoral acts. Cancel culture fuels even more publicity for the person. Power is a scary and dangerous thing, and the movie also poses the question, do we separate the artist from the art, or do we accept or reject them as a unit? Tar was written specifically for Blanchett to lead, and the soundtrack was composed by Hildur Guðnadóttir. For this role, Blanchett learned to conduct, play the piano and speak German. This movie is an all-round phenomenal piece of art with a masterful performance by Blanchett that leaves you mulling over the drama unfolding long after the film concludes. I love that this leading role is about an anti-hero. This is not a girl power movie. It is not a feminist, inspirational story, but a fresh, original, and unexpected take on toxic female power. Just like in the real world, there are affluent women who are held on a pedestal due to their work success, status, and whiteness, and can too use and abuse their power and do unethical things. Women too can be predators. It is hard to find justification for Cate not to win the Best Actress Oscar. Her range of emotion on screen is so vast, so honest, so scary as Tar, and the perfectly tailored masculine suits, bare face, no makeup look, and neurotic behavior portrays a convincing example of an ice queen on the outside, but inside full of secrets and neuroses. But Cate has already won 2 Oscars, The Aviator for Best Supporting Actress and Blue Jasmine Best Actress. Cate will always be celebrated and in-demand actress who certainly does not need another Oscar to prove her status as a screen goddess. The other Oscar leading ladies have No Oscar wins to their name, so we need to consider that too, and almost all have been working in film for decades. Along with Cate's Best Actress Oscar nomination, Tar has gotten nominations in 5 more categories. I've made an earlier video about Cate Blanchett, focused on her rise to film success, and more in-depth notes on her Blue Jasmine film and Oscar win. So you can check that out on my channel too. One of the more talked about films on social media is Blonde, written and directed by Andrew Dominic, based on Joyce Carol Oates' biographical fiction of the same name. This film has been the talk of the town since the moment it was released. The film has received mixed reviews, and so are mine. Ana de Armas is the youngest nominee for Best Actress this year and made her first English-speaking film debut in 2015's Knock Knock. Since then, in 8 years, the Cuban-born actress has appeared in leading and supporting roles in 16 more English-speaking films. First of all, what impresses me is that Ana learned English from scratch for Knock Knock, and second of all, her meteoric rise to Hollywood fame in such a short period of time. For many actresses, it has taken many years of acting to secure quality acting jobs they get recognized for. Still, Ana has showed her acting chops in popular films with famous casts and crew early on, which is very impressive, like in 2017's Blade Runner 2049, 2019's Knives Out, or 2021's No Time to Die. She did, however, have an acting career in Spanish media before Hollywood. Blonde is a sympathetic and introspective depiction of the life of Norma Jean, aka Marilyn Monroe. This film focuses on child abuse, sexual abuse, drug abuse, exploitation of women in the film industry, sexuality, and trauma. Ana de Armas' range of acting is anchored in portraying a heavy-hearted, deeply troubled and broken showgirl who is not only exploited sexually on screen, but also off screen by nasty and slimy men. A lot of screaming and crying scenes. Essentially, this film is about unpacking Norma Jean's trauma since childhood and establishing that Marilyn Monroe is an act, a mask that Norma Jean puts on. Beneath all that bleach, red lipstick, drawn-on mole, and shapewear is a fragile little girl whose life was destined to be broken, and whose rise to iconicity grew from a manipulated and performed sexuality. It is a good performance on Ana's end, but an unfair angle to portray Marilyn because it frames her as an object of men's sexual fantasy. The film does not do justice to Marilyn's achievements in film. The whole movie is sad. There is not one moment of happiness in Marilyn's life. After various actresses like Naomi Watts and Jessica Chastain were signed onto the role of playing Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe, in Blonde during the early stages of development, the role ultimately went to Ana de Armas, who did a complete transformation to look and sound like Marilyn Monroe. The accent part was unsuccessful because the Cuban-Spanish accent is still detectable in the film, despite dialect training for a year. But the hair and makeup, outfits and mannerisms were depicted rather well, considering that there is nobody now or ever who will truly look and act like Marilyn. She was one of a kind, soft and angelic that nobody could emulate. But Ana is feminine, glamorous and theatrical enough to show a credible resemblance. Let's give awarding women for biopics a break for now. The last 2 Best Actress winners won their awards for portraying a real-life woman and a woman in show business. Let's challenge the film industry to refrain from leaning on telling the story of real-life people. In a way, it's exploitation, especially if it's a sad story with a tragic ending, making money from the unfortunate history of a person who is no longer with us. Taking on the role of Marilyn is a brave undertaking, so I commend Ana de Armas for her dedication. The Best Actress Oscar is the only Oscar nomination for Blonde this year. Compared to the box office successes of other Oscar-nominated films, To Leslie garnered only $27,322 at the box office, yet still succeeded through celebrity-driven campaigns to secure the British Andrea Riseborough a Best Actress Oscar nomination. Connections get you far in the entertainment business, and director Michael Morris, with the help of wife and successful actress Mary McCormack, used their Hollywood network to build a buzz. This whole grassroots campaign has been a point of contention. Still, it certainly does not take away the fact that Andrea Riseborough is nominated rightfully and deservedly so for her hearty performance in To Leslie. The film co-stars Allison Janney and Owen Teague, who perform superbly as Leslie's ex-friend and estranged son, respectively. To Leslie is a drama, a story of redemption and finding the strength within yourself and finding the right people to pull oneself from a dark place. It is also a story of mending past relationships, particularly with family. Andrea's physical transformation is commendable. The stringy hair with a grown-out, lousy dye job, malnutrition-looking body with skinny arms, bulging red around the eyes, pleading for help, and perfect Texan accent make Riseborough a chameleon on screen. Considering her previous extensive work on film, Andrea does very well in diverse roles with diverse looks and appearances, like in Birdman, Nocturnal Animals, and Matilda the Musical, to name a few. We follow the story of the alcoholic, jobless, and homeless Leslie, who tries to reconcile with her son and re-enter society where she can support herself and get back on track to living a more fulfilling life after having spent the past 6 years wasting away and wasting every penny of her lottery win on alcohol, therefore neglecting to raise her son, who is now almost 20. Leslie, devoid of any motivation or passion, comes across a local Texas motel owner who offers her a job and a room. From this moment onwards, we follow the journey of Leslie coming to terms with her past mistakes, reconciling with her family, and gaining the courage to quit her self-destructive habits. This film teaches us that we need people and love to help us get better and teach us lessons. We cannot only depend on ourselves to pull ourselves out of hardships, so sometimes we have to allow people into our lives who care about us to help us out. But ultimately, it is in our own hands to reach a place of happiness and comfort. Andrea Riseborough's Best Actress Oscar nomination is this film's only nomination. The quiet drama proves that Andrea has the talent and dedication to play complex leading women on screen. She has a plethora of film appearances in major movies. British and Australian women do so well with playing diverse characters, especially taking on an American accent. The Fabelmans, a coming-of-age drama written, directed, and produced by Steven Spielberg, is an inspiring reminder to follow your heart and do what you love, no matter the hardships, because it is worth it. Based on Spielberg's childhood, The Fabelmans is an excellent story for everyone to see about the power of film and that the quality of meaningful and beautiful films will always last. Michellewilliams is amazing in everything she does. She has a warm and caring and motherly persona that truly wins over audiences. Despite playing a flawed character, Mitzi Fabelman, the mother of Sammy Fabelman, who represents young Spielberg, we nonetheless sympathize with her and find it hard to judge her because of her sweet and vulnerable persona. Michelle is so sincere in her performances that she wins our trust and attention. After all, she truly pushes Sammy to invest his time and effort into filmmaking, his biggest passion and a source of creative fulfillment. This film revolves around the ups and downs of the Fabelman family, proving that even your parents, who you might look up to, are flawed too and make mistakes. As exciting as it is to see beautiful cinematography, jaw-dropping performances, and tear-jerking music, It is the core of the story that captures the viewer after all. It is the work of Spielberg. There are no doubts that his films are mesmerizing to see. But the core of a movie is what makes it special. What is this story about? And what does it mean to you? Michelle's remarkable performance has helped capture the meaning of The Fabelmans, that you must give the freedom and support to those you love to pursue and do whatever they want and need to do to be happy. Even if you may disagree or feel a different way, it is truly a gift to let your loved ones, especially your children, to grow and soar to their highest potential. The Fabelmans film and Michelle's performance is superior to the others for its meaning and moral. We have to compare to decide who should win the Oscar. After all, it is a competition and only one can be supreme. Furthermore, Michelle has been proving her acting talents since childhood. Her appearance in well-loved films like Brokeback Mountain, Blue Valentine, My Week with Marilyn, and Manchester by the Sea is only a few brilliant works of art that Michelle has been nominated for Oscars, actually. It may be about time Michelle gets rewarded for her talent. She also has been in more blockbusters like Shutter Island, The Greatest Showman, and Venom. The one thing holding her back from the win is that her role is more of a supporting role than a leading role. Had she been nominated in the other category, there would be more confidence in the chance for her to win. I understand the overall point that nothing and everything can happen and can mean nothing and everything, but I wasted over 2 hours of my life. I felt restless watching this movie and only stayed to analyze Michelle Yeoh's performance. Evelyn Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh, and her husband Waymond Wang, played by Ke Huy Quan, are the main characters of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Quan makes a significant comeback to acting. His story is the talk of the town, very inspiring. Jamie Lee Curtis plays a hilariously delirious role, and so does Stephanie Hsu, who both are nominated for the Best Supporting Actress this year. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a blend of every genre you can think of, but mainly action, adventure, comedy. It is about complicated family relationships, Asian family values, nihilism, and finding meaning in small things. These fantastic themes were not in service by the utter potpourri of imagery this film was. This is a family drama, but why did it have to be blown out of proportion? Many elements of this film are top quality, and the choreography, acting, visual effects, and cinematography are professionally mastered. But when they all come together, it does a great disservice to the core of the film. A family that has some resentment and past hurts to resolve with one another while dealing with a personal existential crisis. See, this is valuable and can capture an audience, not bagels, googly eyes, and...
Ratatouille taught me so much. I didn't even know how to boil an egg.
If you like films like Kung Fu Hustle, The Matrix, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, then you would like this film. I enjoyed those films, but not really this one. I appreciate the effort and production value put into the film and casting talented, multi-dimensional actors who can prove their acting prowess. But beyond this, not my cup of tea. All in the details, a kaleidoscope of action, colors, costumes, environments, and situations. It's a fever dream. But the film has become legendary and life-changing to many, and I cannot reject the fact that the film has made a successful box office of $106.9 million with a budget that is less than $25 million. For Michelle Yeoh, it is cool and fresh to see a mature actress who is 60 playing a whimsical character with action scenes that she is a pro at to this day. Same for Jamie Lee Curtis. It's so fun to see these more mature actresses doing something not too serious. Michelle Yeoh has been in the film industry for a very long time, since the 80s, in Hong Kong action films doing her stunts. Her success in movies like Tomorrow Never Dies, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Memoirs of a Geisha, Sunshine, and Crazy Rich Asians prove her versatility and title as a fabulous Hollywood star. Everything Everywhere gave Michelle a platform to use her whole range of acting. In a YouTube interview for GQ, I like what Michelle said. When I read the script, I thought this is something I've been waiting for a long time that's going to give me the opportunity to show my fans, my family, what I'm capable of, to be fun, to be real, to be sad. Finally, somebody understood that I can do all these things. Despite my opinion, this film has been a phenomenon for film lovers and beyond. What stands out is the visual effects and action choreography, as well as the cinematography. Also, Michelle is significantly older than the other nominees, so they will still have time and opportunity to prove themselves and even win. Furthermore, Michelle, being an Asian actress, is a step towards inclusivity in film and Oscar history. Everything Everywhere has been nominated for 10 other awards for the Oscars 2023. This film has been getting a lot of love. I don't think Blanchett will win because she has won 2 Oscars before. The Armas because the movie is far too problematic. Riseborough because the film is understated and quiet compared to the rest. And Williams due to her role being considered more supporting rather than leading. I feel like Michelle will win this year due to the amount of love and recognition for her performance as well as the film is getting. I want her to win too for her performance and legacy. Furthermore, it would be exhilarating to see the first Asian actress win a Best Actress Oscar, as well as to be the second woman of color in Oscar history to win the Best Actress Oscar, 21 years after the win of Halle Berry, the only woman of color to have won the Oscar so far. This leads me to race, representation, and inclusivity regarding the Oscars 2023. The Best Supporting Actress category reflects a more diverse spectrum of race, with 2 Asian actresses, 1 black and 2 white getting nominated. However, on social media, the discussion of why more ethnically and racially diverse actresses were not nominated in the Best Actress category. Some believe that the spots from Viola Davis in The Woman King and Danielle Deadwyler in Till were pushed aside by other actresses taking their spot on the roster. There is so much to unpack and discuss about the films, the awards, the nominees, statistics, and the other Oscar categories. So comment below your favorite movies of this year, your favorite actors and actresses, who you think should win, and what stands out to you about the world of film.